breaking and entering, drunk and disorderly, law and order. A former prosecutor and a defence lawyer, not your typical pairing. And the result? Conversations about crime and punishment that are guaranteed to get you thinking.
Welcome to Justice Matters, a weekly podcast with Lizzie Green and Joe Crowley. Our episodes are available every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Justice Matters Pod for clips. Enjoy the episode. This episode contains descriptions of murder, violent crimes and stupidity. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, Lizzie.
Hello, Joe.
Merry Christmas.
It is the Christmas season. And so I'm wearing my favourite Christmas t-shirt.
For those watching on YouTube, I love it. A Die-Hard Christmas t-shirt.
Yes.
Best Christmas movie.
Ever. And I made you
made me wear
a
one.
Christmas tie, which was just a nice subtle nod to the season.
It's a massive tie for those not watching on YouTube. It is massive.
Yes. Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah.
And so because this is Christmas week,
yes,
we thought we'd do something a bit different. So
yes, that's right.
We're going to have a little dig into some Christmas murders, which is unpleasant, but on topic for the season.
Christmas season.
Then just some Christmas crimes.
Yes. And
then to finish off the silly season, I thought we could look at our dumbest criminals.
Yes.
Globally.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll be a bit of fun. But what the first one, Christmas murders, are murders that occur on Christmas Day.
Yes. Or definitely in that Christmas period.
All right. What's the first one we've got?
So the first one relates to 37-year-old Patty White. She offered someone who was down on their luck, a woman called Michelle O'Dowd, a place to stay over the festive period.
Yeah.
Michelle was pretty happy about that, but Patty White had an ulterior motive. So she stole all of her new housemates' credit cards. She killed her, and then she left her among a trashed Christmas tree to make it look like a bungled burglary.
Oh, in her own house?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was discovered by Michelle's twin brother, who went to check in on her after she failed to show for work, and there, amongst a pile of wrapped Christmas presents,
was a complete stranger who turned out to be the woman that her sister had took in.
Yeah. He saw his sister's foot and she'd been beaten. And
it was the sister that died?
Yeah.
Oh.
And she'd been beaten and strangled and left among the gifts. So she got a 45-year sentence for that vile crime.
Okay.
Yes.
That is very violent. All right. Well, I've got one from Australia. Christmas Day 2013, unlucky for some. This is a couple who stabbed a man in the face, bashed in his skull and set him alight in a Kill Bill style plot.
Lord.
Yes, it's from Victoria. So instead of spending the day with their loved ones, William Bill Stevenson pays the ultimate price for keeping poor company as his friends, in inverted commas, meth addicts Danielle Kerr and Darren Lewis, killed him in one of the most violent ways conceivable. I think that's absolutely true when you're lighting people on fire. Their motives are not entirely clear. Pair drove Stevenson out to bushland, began to beat him about the head with a large rock. Wow. Kerr then stabbed the man to death while cackling about Kill Bill plans. Couple then set alight the car, which had him in it, walked home. They were both charged and arrested and charged and convicted, thankfully.
So drug addicts, obviously,
yes.
But just horrendous.
Yes.
Horrendous. All right, so then there was one called the Marvelous Teen Gang. This one involved 4 people who called themselves the Downtown Posse, gave themselves a nickname. They were 16-year-old Laura Taylor, 17-year-old DeMarcus Smith, 20-year-old Heather Matthews, and 19-year-old Marvelous Keane.
Wow, is that his name?
That was his name.
That's a pretty cool name, I must say.
And between Christmas Eve and Boxing Day back in 1992, they went on a murder spree in Ohio, killing 5 people and seriously injuring 4 others. Their primary motive was robbery, but things got out of hand as Marvelous grew paranoid about snitches.
Wow.
And effectively turned the holiday season into hunting season. He went on to become the 10,000th American to be executed since the death penalty was reinstated.
Oh, in the 70s.
The others got life sentences.
Wow. All right. Well, I've got one, which is the Santa suit slaughter.
Interesting.
Christmas Eve 2004, again in America, little town of Covina outside Los Angeles. The party is going on. About 25 close friends and family are enjoying it. Knock at the door, 11:30 p.m. And standing at the door is a person dressed as Santa Claus. The 8-year-old girl who answered the door.
No.
Yeah, that's what she thought. It's not St. Nicholas. It was a man called Bruce Jeffrey Pardo, unstable and violent man who happened to be the ex-husband of one of the women at the party. And then he's armed to the teeth. Get this. He's holding a 9mm pistol in one hand and a flamethrower in the other.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like Sigourney Weaver's character in Aliens. But he's got more. He's got 3 other handguns in his possession, presumably because you empty your pistol, throw it away, pull out the next one.
You never know how many bullets you're going to need.
That's right. So cruelly and methodically, he then goes through the house, shooting everyone he sees. Presumably that included the 8-year-old girl who opens the front door. Then he sets alight to the house. I mean, of the 25, 9 people die. 3 are badly injured. He drives to his brother's house 30 miles away. He had planned to detonate a series of handmade explosives and then escape to Canada. But in lighting the fire at the house, he had burnt himself and his very cheap Santa suit had melted onto him. Causing,
if that's not karma.
Wow, isn't that karma? Never buy cheap Santa suits, always buy the flame-resistant ones. Caused 3rd-degree burns. So instead he killed himself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why dress up as Santa? I guess to get entry to the house.
I don't know. It's that kind of season. My son's recently gone on a Santa pub crawl where 40 guys dressed up as Santa and went on a pub crawl through the city.
Oh, I do love that.
Sounds hilarious, doesn't it?
That does sound hilarious. Now, I've actually heard of this case before. I must have read it for something else, but this is North Carolina tobacco farmer Charles Davis Lawson. Sorry, we are back in 1929 here.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Charles Davis Lawson made his wife, Fanny, and their 7 children put on their Sunday best for their Christmas Day morning. They were going into town to have a professional family photo taken, which was quite a treat. They were a bit of a poorer family.
Yeah.
And then later that day, after they got back home, Charles set about methodically beating and shooting his wife, along with 6 of the 7 children until they were dead. The child who was spared was the eldest child, the 16-year-old, and Charles had sent him on some random errand before his vicious massacre, and they never found out what his motive was.
Wow. That is horrible.
Just, do you know what? I did read that when we talked about that episode of Men Who Kill Their Families.
Yeah.
Remember the good guy one?
Yeah, the good guy narrative. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, well, I got one that's probably slightly less dark than that, but not by much. So this is December 28th, 1987, so slightly after Christmas. Ronald Simmons walks into a law firm in Russellville, Arkansas, shoots dead the receptionist who he was infatuated with, but she had spurned his advances. Then he went to the office of an oil company, presumably close by, shot 2 executives, killing one, injuring the other. He then drove to a convenience store, and which is where he used to work, shot 2 more people, but both survived. Finally, he went to the Woodline Motor Freight Company, shooting and wounding a woman. Then he sat down and waited for the police to arrest him. But he had gone on an earlier killing spree. 6 days earlier, they still hadn't apprehended him, which is unbelievable. So this is just before Christmas, and 22nd of December. He had shot and strangled, or presumably strangled and shot, his wife, 2 sons, and 4 daughters.
Oh, my God.
Doesn't end there. He sat in the house among the bodies for 4 days till presumably Christmas Day or Boxing Day, and he only left to go and visit a local bar. A Boxing Day, 9 more relatives turn up to the house for Christmas, including some of his grandchildren. He kills all of them.
No.
In total, he kills 16 people.
Oh, my God.
I'm against the death penalty, but I'm
Yes.
going to read out this last sentence. 25 June 1990, then Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton signed the execution warrant and he was killed by lethal injection.
Yeah, I am against the death penalty too, but you hear something like that and that's just horrendous.
No, death penalty is wrong in all cases.
Yeah. So that's a little bit dark, those
A little
Christmas
bit.
crimes.
Jeepers.
Christmas murders. Everyone stay safe this season.
Mm.
But then there are some other Christmas crimes that are possibly a little lighter. So I thought we'd have a look at those.
Okay, Christmas crime. So what's the first one we've got?
High on the holiday spirit.
That's right. That's me. I'm doing this one. Jeepers. Okay, 11-year-old Ohio boy gets the shock of his life during the Christmas season in 2011. He discovers a strange man broken into the home and was busy getting into the holiday spirit. So according to the reports, in early November 2011, a 44-year-old Terry Trent broke into a home of the Henderson family in the Dayton suburb of Valandia. Once inside, he begins to hang up Christmas decorations, including a large wreath on the house's garage door. After that, he lit some candles, turned on the TV and was relaxing. He turned it on very loud because the 11-year-old boy in the house came in to see who was watching what I presume was a Christmas movie. Let's hope it was Die Hard. And the 11-year-old boy finds a stranger sitting there watching TV.
Random.
But also, Trent was playing with this 11-year-old boy's toys.
Oh.
A bit odd. So the 11-year-old boy gets his mother, who was next door socializing, I think, and so she then immediately calls the police. Meanwhile, the 11-year-old boy stays in the house, talks to Trent.
This is weird.
I know, isn't it? And, Trent apparently apologizes and said that he would grab his things and go. Luckily, he didn't. Police arrive. He's arrested without any further incident. Apparently, Trent had a history of drug charges, believed he was high on bath salts when he broke into the Henderson home. I didn't know you could get high on bath salts.
Well, it seems to have a very positive effect.
Yeah.
As opposed to some other drugs.
That's right. Very happy on bath salts. So he had a pocket knife in his possession, but he wouldn't have used it to hurt anyone. You'd have to work pretty hard to hurt someone with a pocket knife. And he was described as a caring person involved in scouts and local church programs.
That's actually disturbing.
Okay. It's slightly disturbing.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, I've got one about a Santa Claus burglary gone wrong.
Yep.
So a man called Sean Chanel earned the dubious nickname the Santa Claus burglar after he tried breaking into a house through the chimney.
Oh.
He got stuck.
Yeah.
And the Seattle firemen had to come and rescue him.
Yeah.
After chopping away at the chimney bricks for 45 minutes,
Jeepers.
They did free him. He was naked for some reason.
What?
Yes. And said he was trying to retrieve his backpack, and that's why he was
Did it have his clothes in
going
it?
down the chimney. Well, he said his friend had thrown his backpack into the chimney and he had to go and get it. Couldn't explain why he was
naked.
nude. Also couldn't explain why his backpack was actually just leaning against the fence downstairs. Yes. So he got sentenced to 17 months for that charge.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So there's been some nice alliteration. And we've had Terry Trent. We've had Sean Chanel.
Well, and I will just tell you, there was another so-called Santa, Jesse Berube, who also tried to get down a chimney. He was attempting to commit a burglary and he had to call 911 on himself to get rescued because he got stuck in the chimney.
Wow, that's an interesting one.
I don't know why he had no one else to call for help.
Yeah.
Anyway.
If they're chopping at chimneys, I suppose you want police or fire people, don't you?
I suppose so.
All right, so I've got a domestic violence with a squirrel.
Sorry?
Yes, it's not as funny as it sounds. 44-year-old South Carolina woman was charged, as in 2013, with domestic violence after she stabbed a man, her partner, with a ceramic squirrel.
Oh, dear.
So Christmas 2013, the Charleston County Sheriff's Department deputies found a man covered in blood when they arrived at the North Charleston home of Helen Williams. According to Associated Press, apparently Williams had been waiting for her husband to bring back a case or two of beer. When he got home, he told her all the stores were closed and he didn't have any.
Oh, dear.
She then grabbed a ceramic squirrel, a decoration, smashing it on his head. Gets worse. Then she used the pieces to stab him.
Wow, she really wanted a beer.
Yeah. Well, I know that feeling. No, probably not to the extent of stabbing people, but yeah. So stabs it in the shoulder and chest. He was able to escape, gets the neighbours, calls the police. When they arrived and to question Helen Williams, she said that her husband had fallen and cut himself.
Oh, very clumsy.
Multiple, and got up and fallen again and got up and fallen again. Unfortunately, she had blood on her own hands.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to explain. So she was arrested and charged with domestic violence-related offences.
Gosh, that is horrible.
Yeah. So we've got a few short ones now, don't we?
Yes, some little Santa bank robberies. So in Melbourne in the early 1980s, a robbery crew were nicknamed the Santa Suit Gang.
Okay.
Witnesses to the robbery told detectives, "I thought it was a joke," and that was the beauty of the scheme. By the time people realised it wasn't a joke, they'd escaped.
With the money. It's a bit like Point Break and the Ex-Presidents.
Oh, that is the best movie.
What a great film. Patrick Swayze
the
and
original.
Keanu Reeves. Yeah, sorry, not the remake.
Not the remake.
Oh. All right, I got a nice oldie, but a goldie. December 23, day before Christmas Eve, in 1927, Marshall Radcliffe, dressed as a Santa, leads accomplices on a raid on the First National Bank in the U.S. Central Texas town of Cisco. What it doesn't say, but I'm interested in, were they dressed as elves if he's Santa? Anyway, the robbery and ensuing gun battle resulted in a massive manhunt, still regarded as one of Texas' most infamous criminal events.
Wow. One
eyewitness wrote, at the time, the heist was the most spectacular crime in the history of the Southwest, surpassing any in which Billy the Kid or the James boys had ever figured.
Very impressive.
Very impressive.
Well, we had another one, December 2009, and a guy dressed as Santa with sunglasses, armed with a pistol, came into the bank and told staff he needed money to pay his elves. Yes.
Okay.
This was in Nashville, Tennessee. He had a sack. He produced the handgun, demanded the cash, explaining why he needed it.
Yeah.
One witness said it was a little unbelievable.
Yeah, because the beard was a fake beard.
Fake beard. No one was hurt during the robbery, although he did tell the staff that he would come back and kill everyone if they put dye bombs in with the cash. And a police spokeswoman was quoted as saying it was the first time a robber had disguised himself as Santa in recent years.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, isn't that interesting? I actually represented a bank robber who had the dye bomb explode when he opened the bag.
Really?
And he said you just cannot get it off. Like, it's like a tattoo practically. So,
oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've got the Drunken Dance Studio Float Jaunt. So 2006, again in the United States, South Carolina, a man, David Allen Rogers, 42 years old, volunteered to drive one of the Christmas floats for the local dance studio, which is a very kind act.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he thought he might just get a few under his belt, had a few beers while he was volunteering. Then, apparently, he sped off course, driving at 60 miles an hour, which is that's like 90.
120,
is it 120? Yeah, it's certainly
something
very
like that.
fast. Understandably terrifying parents and children alike. He was eventually caught, charged with driving under the influence. 18 counts of assault and kidnapping, presumably for the people on the float.
Yes.
And unlawful conduct towards a child. Assaulting an officer, which, I don't know, obviously on arrest, he didn't come quietly. And some other charges, one of opening container. I don't know what that's right.
Having an open
opening container. Oh, as you're driving.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yes. I worry about that because just between you and me and our listeners, when I drive my children out, they will sometimes bring their drink in the car. And I always think, is that an offence?
Oh, if they're driving.
No, I'm driving.
And they've got an open, I don't think so. Wouldn't it?
I don't know. I worry. I say, quick, there's a police car, put your drink down.
I mean, who isn't drinking their, McDonald's thick shake while they're driving?
Oh, I'm talking alcohol.
Oh, they're drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Anyway. All right. This one is a little bit funny.
Okay.
So this is Santa Claus with weed, meaning marijuana.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for the explanation.
Well, just for those who aren't
Who don't know
across
what
it.
weed is. Yep, okay.
So a man claiming to be Santa Claus
Yes.
was arrested in January, so post-Christmas 2015,
Yeah.
when police discovered him giving away stocking stuffers at a local Buffalo Wild Wings restaurant.
Wow.
Randy Lang, 57, was charged with furnishing marijuana after he allegedly entered a sports bar carrying a duffel bag packed with 2 pounds of Christmas cheer,
Wow.
which he then began doling out among the patrons.
Wow.
He declared he was Santa Claus, not simply some dime a dozen imposter, and handed them chunks of marijuana wrapped in napkins.
Wow.
He even stuffed a large amount of marijuana into the bar's tip jar.
Best tips those employees had had for a while.
He did persist in telling police that his name was Santa, but he was quite quickly identified and then charged.
Yes. Maybe he was Santa. Santa must have an alter ego.
I don't know that Santa would give out weed, Joe.
It's a stressful job.
Mm.
All right. Well, I've got another cannabis-related one. This is in December 2010 in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Police do a drug raid, a drug bust, and come across something they hadn't expected. A 2-meter tall Christmas tree made entirely from cannabis, fully decorated with tinsels and lights.
Wow.
But I want to know, is it that one Christmas plant, marijuana plant, which would be, you could, I reckon, grow it like that, but it would take a while.
Really? Do they get,
Yeah.
I suppose there's the big plantations.
I had a guy who had a 9-kilo Christmas tree. I don't know how big it was, but they cut it down and measured it. Yeah, so it was a big bush.
Wow. Well, you said Christmas tree. Did you mean marijuana tree?
Marijuana tree, sorry.
Yeah.
So,
interchangeable.
Or did he just have marijuana branches that he sort of put together?
I don't know. But you'd hope that there were no candles nearby.
That's right.
No Christmas
He
candles.
just waited till it all dried out and then lit it up.
So, look, they were some Christmas crimes. Still not great, but some were more amusing.
And so you want to do, these are not Christmas crimes, but these are just dumb crimes, are they?
Yes, I just
thought we'd try and be a bit happier other
just
than the
a
mass
little
murders
bit
we've been talking
silly.
about.
And look, I always do say that some of the most stupid people are the criminals that we find. So I should recognize that these stories came from all different types of articles and media releases.
Yep.
And the same names did come up quite a lot.
Did they?
Yes. So they are a bit infamous now for being the dumbest criminals.
The dumbest criminals. It's a bit like the Darwin Awards, isn't it?
Oh, you don't want
Dumbest
one of
ways
them.
to die. Okay, what do we got first?
So these are what I would call social media criminals.
Okay. Interesting.
So there was a guy called Andrew Hennels, and he was caught after he boasted on Facebook about his plans to raid a supermarket in a post which included a selfie, a picture of a knife, and the words doing, full stop, Tesco, full stop, over. So
Wow.
he's doing Tesco over. That was his plan.
What was one of the full stops? I don't understand.
I don't know, making a statement.
Yeah.
So he was caught 15 minutes later with the knife and 410 pounds in cash stolen from a Tesco in Norfolk.
Wow.
He was jailed for 4 years. That was 2016.
Yeah, that is pretty dumb.
So dumb.
All right, I've got another one. A criminal on the run took the ill-advised approach of taunting the Ghent police when they posted a Facebook appeal to trace him. This is last February, so 2023. Bit like the postcard bandit, which is some Australian listeners would know about. So Logan James, then 19, was wanted for breaching his prison release terms after serving a sentence for wounding, affray, common assault, and being in possession of a knife.
Mm-hmm.
Ha ha ha! Catch me if you can. You won't see me slipping. James taunted, later telling newspaper agency, I have been walking around near home, so they were not trying too hard to catch me. He was caught later that day. Police thanked him for drawing attention to our efforts to return him to prison.
So stupid.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. He's 19. He's a young and dumb, let's say.
Here's another crim who was caught out by a selfie. Ashley Keast used a stolen SIM card to snap a self-portrait inside a house he was currently burgling.
Burgling, yeah, interesting.
He then posted the picture on the WhatsApp Messenger application, but also unknowingly sent the picture to the victim's work colleagues.
What?
Got to be careful who's in that group.
So he was burglaring a house of people he knew.
No, he'd used a stolen SIM, so there must have been contacts loaded onto it. So officers found him at his home with a stolen Rolex watch worth £4,000 hidden behind a radiator. He was jailed for 2 years and 8 months for that little effort.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, I got Trevor Jones. Sounds like a made-up name to me.
It's harsh.
Yeah. If he's 34-year-old, he couldn't resist when he broke into a house in Georgia in the United States, November 2011. He used the home computer to log into his own Facebook, just couldn't resist checking his Facebook. No wonder he wanted to check his social media downtime. Woman whose house he was trying to rob earlier had seen his car, taken his keys and wallet and called the police. Jones had to swim a pond to escape before breaking into another nearby house. One would have thought you should have just kept running. Probably would never have logged into Facebook before leaving. Instead, he gave police everything they needed to identify him and issue an arrest warrant.
See, 2011, Facebook was still quite
I suppose that's right. It was
new.
A big thing.
Yeah, he really needed to, update his status.
Yeah, that's right. Currently, in a relationship and robbing a house.
Idiot. All right, so taking a selfie is one thing. Openly bragging about robbing a bank on tape and then uploading it to YouTube is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
So Hannah Sabata, a 19-year-old, did that back in 2012. She stole $6,000 from a Nebraska bank and then made an incriminating video in which she admitted to the crime, flashed the cash, and then uploaded it to YouTube. It was uploaded to YouTube by user Jelly Beanie under the title Chick Bank Robber. It amassed over 2 million views and she was arrested the same day the video was uploaded.
Wow. Well, if she wanted to you get a lot of views, she certainly achieved that.
Yeah.
I just wonder if you're the lawyer and the defense lawyer and they come to you and this is the evidence against them, what are you doing with that? You're just like, we're going to lose. You need to plead guilty.
Plead guilty. It's hard to
plead stupidity.
Argue with that. Yes.
Okay. This is not social media, Peter Kavanagh, but the dangers of technologies for criminal. Tale as old as time. Criminal takes a picture of themselves doing something illegal, which ultimately lands them in jail. This is 2013. Peter Kavanagh worked with a London mob delivering shipments of drugs. While returning with cash, Kavanagh whipped out his mobile phone, took photos of himself with a massive stack of money.
So tempting.
I know. Well, we'd want to do it if we could. Wasn't counting on 2 of his dealers getting caught. After the 2 women were arrested for possession, they led the police straight to Kavanagh, who was busted thanks to those damn photos on his phone. I had nothing to do with it, and they searched his phone. Swiftly arrested, thrown in prison for 3 years.
Well, fair.
Fair.
Here on the Gold Coast, there was a man who police officers received an anonymous tip-off that he was supplying illegal drugs. They acted on the tip, raided his home. They did find large quantities of marijuana inside a safe, but he denied knowledge of the drugs, saying that they probably belonged to someone else.
He knew the combination to his safe. Yeah.
All came to an embarrassing end when they searched through the photos on his phone and found a video of him posing suggestively in front of a mirror with the stash of marijuana in full view behind him. The police
He's going to put that on his Tinder profile.
Yeah. Police were apparently left in hysterics, saying that the man produced the majority of the evidence. Produced, directed, starred in, and then screened it.
And that, yes, beautiful.
Yeah.
Doing their job for them. All right. Not sure if this is sleeping criminals. Okay. So not sure if this is in the criminal's handbook, but we have to guess it. Falling asleep in a house you're robbing is not on the things to do list.
No.
Mark Smith, not have been reading the relevant thief's handbook, decided to take a quick nap under the victim's bed. At least he was under the bed.
Yeah, he didn't dirty the sheets.
No. He was drunk on vodka, high on Valium. One wonders why he was robbing a house. And he was discovered by the home owners, who immediately called the police.
Well, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. This happens more than you'd expect. I guess it's tiring committing crimes. There was one who was called the Goldilocks burglar. So a retired couple from Lancashire returned home from a holiday in 2014 to discover a burglar fast asleep in their bed.
Wow.
Yes. They also found that he had done their dishes, washed his underwear, even bought some groceries. So it sounds like he actually moved right on in. She said the homeowner said the house wasn't too tidy when they went away,
Oh,
but
wow.
he had kindly tidied up
Tied it
for
up.
them. Yeah.
He
He did burn an old saucepan, but that happens, said the homeowner.
Yeah.
He was given a 2-year conditional discharge and ordered to pay £200 in costs.
Wow. I wonder what he did with his other clothes. He only washed his underwear. And how did they know he'd washed his underwear?
Well, maybe that was still
in the sink. Oh, still hanging up to dry. He was going commando. Okay. We've got some thieves who provide their own identification.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
So Ruben Zarate
Mm-hmm.
decided to rob a muffler shop.
Oh, there. High demand item.
Yeah, exactly. Bought a gun, demanded the money, only to discover the money was in the safe, could only be opened by the absent store manager. Decided it would be a good idea to leave his number with the store employee so they could give him a call when the manager returned, which, I mean, sure. And then, of course, the employee doesn't do that.
No.
Dogged him and called the police.
Oh, God.
And Zarate was then arrested.
Oh, dear. Well, there was a guy called Jonathan Ochola,
okay.
I think, and he kept quite a detailed diary.
Mm-hmm.
And so on June 12th, 2010, in his diary, he wrote, "Go Portsmouth, robbery happens."
Okay.
In his diary.
Yeah, just in case he forgot.
So then when he was suspected and the police found the diary, they were able to link him to the robbery as the getaway driver because he'd diarised his crime.
You would have thought you're searching the house, trying to connect him to the robbery. There's a diary there. You're like, he wouldn't be dumb enough to put it in the diary, but I'll just give it a quick look and then boom.
There it is.
Wow.
Very handy.
What a nut.
So there was another guy, he was suspected of arson and vandalism.
Yeah.
And he sent a selfie to the Ohio police because he found that the photo on his arrest warrant was unflattering. Didn't like it. He said, "Here is a better one."
Yeah.
That photo was terrible.
Yeah.
He told a local radio station, "Man, they just did me wrong. They put a picture out that made me look like I was a Thundercat or James Brown on the run.
Wow, that's
I can't do that."
I like the Thundercats.
So the police department said, "We thank him for being helpful, but now we would appreciate it if he would come to speak to us." He was later arrested in Florida.
What a nut. Although I sympathise, my passport photo and
well, you're not allowed to smile.
Photo. I know.
And you can't have your glasses on. I don't like what I look like without glasses anymore. I'm so used to wearing them.
We've got the bank robber who gives his address. An aspiring bank robber wore a terrible disguise, sunglasses and socks over his shoes. Gave the cashier his full name and address half an hour before he attempted to hold up the branch.
Yeah.
Wow, he scopes the joint.
Didn't think it through.
Has a proper conversation with the woman behind the counter. So Dean Smith, 27, went to his local branch. Again, probably not the best thing to do. Barclays Bank in the Welsh village, which I'm not going to try and pronounce. Because he wanted to change the address presumably on his own bank account, does that, but then later decides to rob the bank. He returns into disguise, demands the money, fled empty-handed when the cashier refused. Wow. That's a brave cashier.
Brave cashier, but also not much of a threat. He comes in, asks her, did he ask her out?
Did he ask her?
Oh, no, gave her his full name and address.
Yeah, I was free-forming.
Yeah.
He admitted to the police he was very stupid. I think that's self-evident. And jailed 2.5 years for the attempted robbery. Oh, and carrying a bladed weapon. So he must have had a knife. It's still pretty brave of the cashier to say no.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure the training is just handed over.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I've got one. So curiosity killed the cat. That's something that we have all heard, that phrase.
Yep.
This time it also caught the criminal. So in 1988, this guy called R.C. Gatelin came across some friendly Detroit police officers who were showing off their squad car's computer to a bunch of kids.
Wow.
And he was quite interested, so he approached and asked them to give him a demonstration. He voluntarily gave the police his driver's license. They ran a background check as part of the demonstration. Turns out he had an outstanding arrest warrant for an armed robbery.
Wow.
Yeah. So they arrested him on the spot.
Because he's thinking, I wonder if this computer could find out any
Could.
outstanding warrants.
Sure could.
Apparently
the kids got more than they bargained for.
Yeah. All right. So Christopher Cron. It's only polite to answer the phone. Could be somebody important, like the company that monitors the alarm you just tripped. On the night of his 47th birthday, having a midlife crisis, clearly Christopher Cron broke into Junkaroo Bar, Fort Myers Beach, to steal a bottle of Grand Marnier. Okay, not my taste. When the alarm company called, he not only answered the phone, but also gave his full name because he hadn't hidden his face either. Police were able to identify him and arrest him the next day based on the video surveillance of the break-in.
It's that instinct, isn't it? Answer the phone.
Hello, yeah.
When you were little, did you used to answer the home phone?
Of course.
With your full name?
Oh, no.
We were taught to, hello, Lizzie speaking.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I do that. Hi,
Yeah.
Joe speaking. Or Crowley household or something.
Not like that anymore.
No.
All right. So then we have a Scottish shoplifter, Aaron Morrison, who was picked up after he stole a bottle of vodka from a bottle shop. It didn't take long to find him, though. This was the one I was thinking of because he had left his name and phone number with the sales assistant when he asked her out on a date. I wonder if he'd had stuff to drink before he went in. It might have been his second bottle.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so Graham Price in South Wales, he ripped off a bank where he worked. Wasn't completely duplicitous because he left a note in the safe saying borrowed £7 million, signed Graham Price.
So honour among thieves.
That's right.
Yeah, good
I
to
don't know.
know.
I wonder if they caught him. I need to Google that.
All right, here's another one who you do just shake your head. So this 21-year-old called Gyro Napolis, he stole $15,000 worth of jewellery from a pawn shop in Sydney. The whole thing was recorded on CCTV, including his very distinctive arm and neck tattoos and his little bun-topped braided hair.
Wow.
So he was well known to police, but stupidly dressed himself in some of the jewellery he'd just stolen when he went to court for unrelated matters.
Oh, no. Yes. And the police see him.
Yes. So he was wearing the same chain and some earrings, and they arrested him on the basis of revealing his loot in court. Yeah.
Okay, so in 2018, Perth, a man was filmed putting on a balaclava in full view of CCTV cameras at a Perth service station just moments before robbing it. He spent several moments choosing his disguise in front of the Ascot service station on the Great Eastern Highway. After putting on a pair of sunglasses and a hood, he eventually settled on a balaclava. You've got to look good when you're robbing a bank. Yeah. He made off with cash in the robbery. Balaclava clearly didn't do the job because he was recognised in the footage of him putting the balaclava.
Maybe he thought they would only look at the CCTV footage of the actual offence.
Actual robbery.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got 15 minutes. Just give me the 5 minutes he's doing the robbery.
Do you know what this reminds me of? When I worked in Beenleigh, there was like a reject shop or a cheap shop across the road from the courthouse, and they always had like a coat rack out the front with balaclavas on sale.
Really? Yeah. On sale? That's fantastic.
I used to think, why?
Well, because you beat the rap on one robbery and you go, I'm just going to start gearing up for the next.
Just a constant supply of disguises.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right. So then there are some criminals who just have very bad luck. The first one was these 3 inmates who had successfully escaped from minimum security Warrakirri Correctional Centre. 2 days later, these 3 men were spotted trying to hitch a lift by the side of the road, still dressed in their prison garb. And unfortunately for them, the car that they flagged down was driven by an undercover officer who just gave them a lift back to the police station.
Yeah. I'm going that way.
They'd done all of that hard work to get out and then caught the wrong person.
I've got a terrorist-related one.
Oh, go.
Officials were left baffled by an Afghan Taliban commander who gave himself up and then tried to claim the $100,000 reward for his capture. So
himself?
Yeah. Mohammed Ashan, a low-level Taliban commander suspected of organising attacks on US and Afghan troops to the east of the country. According to reports, he walked up to a police checkpoint in 2012, pointed to a wanted poster featuring his face and asked for the fee. Authorities were at a loss to explain his actions, although US officials reportedly told journalists, clearly this man is impeachable.
Oh, my Lord. What was he going to do with that money in prison, I wonder?
I don't know. It's odd.
Very strange. All right, here was a good one. So there was a man who tried to break into a Redfern chemist.
Yeah.
And he actually got trapped
Ooh.
while he was trying to break in.
Yeah.
So there was a glass door and a metal security gate, and he got trapped between the two. And so police were called. When they arrived, he began verbally abusing police and telling them to stop laughing at him because apparently they found it quite amusing.
Yeah.
Police sent a message over the airwaves, you might want to come down here. We have the world's dumbest criminal right here, apparently.
And everyone turned up.
It was a publican who found him and said the man was trying to bash his way out through the bulletproof glass. He asked me to help him get out, and I was like, no. So he was eventually freed at about 5 a.m. And despite being caught red-handed, he tried to protest his innocence, claiming that the glass doors had opened by themselves and he was just trying to check it out.
Oh, yeah.
He also said that he was just trying to steal toilet paper. It was an emergency.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't work.
No.
No.
Okay, I've got the hapless holdup of a news agent in Abingdon, Oxfordshire, captured on CCTV footage, 2012. During his attempted heist, James Allen removed his balaclava, fell over a drinks display, and then could not open the door to escape because he was pushing instead of pulling.
Oh, dear.
Unbelievable. Later, he had just held up with a toy gun, had to come and open it for him.
Oh, wow.
Jeepers. She's like, I'll get that.
Yeah, just get out of here.
Not only that, but he also tried to rob the same shop 10 days earlier. He was 29 years old, no fixed address, sentenced to 3 years imprisonment for the offences shown in the video, 2 years for possessing of a firearm or I was going to say intimidation, but it's an imitation firearm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that pushing rather than pulling, do you remember the Far Side cartoon?
Yes,
That would be, for I guess our younger listeners, Gary Larson wrote some very popular cartoons. And my favourite was
it was a school for the gifted.
Mid-Vale School for the Gifted, and the guy's trying to push the door and it clearly says pull. Classic.
We've all been there.
All right, so a burglar in China had to be rescued after his attempt to squeeze through a small 5th-floor window of an apartment block left him dangling.
Oh.
It took rescuers 30 minutes to free him, and he was then handed straight to the police.
That's my worst nightmare. So I got a fear of heights.
Oh, but if you're going to go out a window, make sure you're fit, mate.
Yeah. I tell you, you're not having a practice run on a 5-story window. You're just going to eyeball it. Okay, foiled by an Autolock. A suspected car thief in Pretoria, South Africa, was foiled when the auto-locking system of the car he allegedly broke into trapped him inside. Man was stuck for an hour and a half shouting for help while amused passers-by pointed and laughed. Newspaper reports when the owner of the car returned, she yelled, "What are you doing in my car?" Probably a pretty standard thing to yell. Before unlocking, at which point officers from Pretoria Central Police Station promptly arrested him.
That is bad luck.
Well, why didn't he just break a window? They're not that hard to break.
I don't know.
Okay.
Mate, don't you need one of those little tools?
God, no.
Oh,
You do it with your head if you're determined enough.
All right, so similar, a car-related one, and I don't really know how to pronounce this, Maganga.
Okay, let's go with that.
So this is a teenager, and he carjacked a woman named Melissa Peters as she was driving her child to school. He hopped into her Dodge Caliber hatchback, but he didn't get very far because he was unable to work the manual stick shift. Only had his automatic license. He sat there in a panic, flicking the lights, turning on the wipers in a desperate attempt to work the transmission.
Yeah.
He did that for about 7 minutes while the people around him called the cops, and they arrived and arrested him.
3 pedals on the floor didn't give him any ideas?
No, had no idea what he was doing.
Wow. Okay. All right, watch where you're going. 2 men waited in a line at a coffee shop to pay their bill. A third cut in front of them. He threw a drink at the cashier, demanded all the money from the cash register. Temporarily surprised, the men quickly recovered and handcuffed the crook because apparently in the rush, the criminal didn't notice that they were police officers, wait for it, in full uniform.
Oh, my God. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, this was poor thief, I suppose. But in the middle of robbing a bank, the thief fainted.
Oh.
Was overwhelmed by all the excitement.
Yeah.
So the teller called emergency services, asked for the medics. You have to applaud the thief's tenacity. While the ambulance was en route, he continued with the robbery. He handed his note to the teller demanding all of her cash.
Yeah, when he woke up, when he came
didn't.
She's like, no.
I'm
just going to wait. Wow. Okay. Police in Ossing, New York, called to a mini-mart where they found Blake Leake, 23, trying to break in. They chased Leake through the streets until both cops took a tumble. Seizing the opportunity, Leake sought refuge on the grounds of a large building. Building was the Sing Sing maximum security prison, where he was promptly nabbed by a guard.
Got to read those signs.
I know, because Sing Sing, colloquial for a jail, was actually a jail, that one, called Sing Sing. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, straight back to prison for him.
Yeah. There's so many.
There are so many. Stupid.
Give us one more, and I'll give you one more.
Okay. All right. So this one really is quite inventive. A man who tried to rob a Glasgow bookmakers armed himself with a cucumber covered in a black sock. That was his weapon.
Wow. What was he trying to make it look like?
Well, a gun.
A gun. Okay,
yeah.
sure.
So he brandishes his vegetable at the teller, demands cash. He refused, and then again, bad luck, tackled by an off-duty police officer.
Oh, yeah.
He's pinned down and arrested. He tried to say it was all a joke, and then he said, "Am I getting jail for this?" Yes, he did.
Is the answer.
Yeah.
All right, lucky last. This is John Laws, the famous Australian radio personality, shock jock, some might call him. So, hungry thief stumbled into John Law's Woolloomooloo apartment in 2014, spent hours bypassing extremely valuable antiques and artworks before being waylaid by Chinese food.
Oh.
With more than a dozen surveillance cameras fixed on the lavish property, the 38-year-old intruder stumbled cluelessly past rare and exotic artifacts in John and Carolyn Law's harbour front home until security guards spotted him and pounced. They found the hapless thief. He'd taken just 3 things: a mobile phone, a purse, and a slightly greasy doggy bag of Chinese takeaway food.
He did not.
He did.
Well, look.
Yeah, a bit peckish.
Stupid criminals abound.
Yes. Well, I'm glad we finished it on a nice note for this Christmas season.
Yes, we did start a little dark, but hopefully a couple of Christmas laughs.
Yeah.
For our listeners.
And hopefully people are enjoying their silly season and not being too silly.
Yes, stay safe.
Thank you for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed it, please rate and review or like and subscribe. It all helps Lizzie and I keep this podcast going. If you're interested in clips, you can look at them on Instagram and TikTok. Just search for Justice Matters Pod. See you next episode.